Welcome to this episode of Eating Smart, Being Active. I'm Stacy Stengel, and I'm here to work with you through shopping, preparing, and eating for strong bones and teeth. Calcium and a number of other nutrients and vitamins are necessary for us to build our teeth and bones. It's especially important for pregnant moms to get enough calcium and nutrients for the baby so that the baby can establish bone when they're born. If the mom is not getting enough calcium and other nutrients in her diet, then the baby's development will then start extracting the vitamins, calcium, right out of the mother's body. And so it'll weaken her bones and teeth so that the baby's is stronger. So as you can see from the bags in front of me, they represent the different age levels of when and how much bone is established, if there's enough calcium and other nutrients to build the bones throughout our lifetime. So when a newborn is born and they have bone, this is about how much bone structure is in the newborn. So this is established during pregnancy, and then it's actually a kind of smaller amount because a lot of infants are born with more cartilage than they do solid bone. And then the first year is when that bone is established, and so that's why the first year is when they're either being fed breast milk, which is high in calcium, or formula, which is high in calcium, and builds the bone. And that's essentially all that they're having that first year. So that's why it's important to make sure you're getting enough of that calcium the first year. And then between newborn and 10 years old, there is a drastic amount of bone that's established, and this bone has to be established through consuming enough nutrients to build that bone and strengthen them. So we have a very large difference between newborn and 10, and then between 10 and 15 is the largest difference, and this is just 5 years. So the newborn to 10 was establishing the calcium in 10 years, but now between 10 and 5, it's double the amount. So that's why it's important that children are getting enough calcium every single day, and whether it be from dairy products or plant-based foods that are high in calcium. And this is every single day establishing and maintaining the amount of bone that's necessary for growth. Also between 10 and 15 is when humans are building the bone that's going to carry them in adulthood. So between 15 and adulthood, all levels of adulthood, there's the density of the bone is about what changes, but we stop growing. And that's where between 10, 15, and then adulthood, it's not necessarily the growth part between 15 and 20, and say 20 for an adult, but it's about the density. So how thick and strong the bone is and going into adulthood. And then if we have an adult that does not get enough calcium, or during pregnancy the baby was taking from her reserves, then you're going to get a condition that's called osteoporosis. And osteoporosis is where the calcium is leached out and it leaves holes behind in the bone structure. So that weakens the bone and makes it more liable to break. And then the other complications and diseases come along. So you can see from the adult, and if you were holding them, the weight-wise, of how much different it weighs, because obviously if there's holes in the bone, that there's no weight that's associated with that. So establishing the calcium is important through the lifespan, and then even up into adulthood, maintaining the calcium, because if not, it will come out of the bones, because all functions of your body use calcium as well. So calcium is not just about bone structure, but calcium also is used in your muscles and your nerves. And so your heartbeat, if you don't have enough calcium or you have a calcium deficiency, not only will you have weak bones, but you also have some issues with your heartbeat, because the calcium does assist in the heart contracting and relaxing. So there's calcium, the different vitamins, K, which is known for the ability to help the body rebound from illnesses and injuries. So why is, I just told, calcium is important because it does build the bones and teeth, but it also reduces the risk of osteoporosis and the other parts of the body and how it's employed throughout the body. If you want to do a little trick that can help you maintain strong bones and build them, is about doing strength building activities. And so those are physical activities that you are actually putting pressure on the bones, and that can maintain the bones as well. So it's not just calcium, but it's also physical activity that's going to assist in making your bones strong as well. So we all know that 10, 15, even young adults are much more active. Well, we need to keep them active, with activities that they're physically doing things and putting weight and weight bearing and strengthening exercises so that they're creating that density that the bones need to maintain. And limiting the amount of screen time so that they're actually doing something that's weight bearing, not just holding a tablet or other electronic device that's not very heavy. So how much milk is necessary every single day? Well, it depends, and it's not just milk, it's dairy products and calcium-rich foods. We have children from 2 to 3 years old. They should have about 2 cups, the 2-cup equivalent. From 3 to 8 years old, they need about 2.5 cups. And then youth from 8 all the way through adulthood should have about 3-cup equivalent throughout the day, every single day. So you have different equivalent amounts, because when we were talking about eating a variety of different foods, you need to take into effect that milk will provide a different amount of calcium compared to some of the plant-based foods, and so you can't say that there's one certain amount for every single food that gives you that calcium. So knowing the different types of milks that you're going to use, because that is actually the most effective and easiest for your body to digest and extract the calcium from. But we have a lot of different milks that are on the market, and some of the milks are not dairy, but they're plant-based. So you need to be able to read your food label on the side of it to know what exactly it is that you're looking for. And it will tell you, first of all, it's going to tell you the type on the outside. Like, for instance, this one is low fat, and that means it's 1% milk. There is fat-free, which means that there should be no fat in it. 2%, which is reduced fat, and then whole milk. Not that it's whole full of fat, but it's actually only 4%. And those different amounts of fats, there's nothing different about the nutrients in all those different types of milks. What's different is simply the amount of fat that's in each different one. So when you look at the label, you'll just see there's more calories because fat has more calories. It's nutrient dense when it comes to calories. So the calories are going to change, and the total fat amount is going to change. But when you look down further along here, you're going to see that it has the same amount of protein and it has the same vitamins. So you're not compromising vitamins and minerals by reducing the fat. You're just eliminating some of the fat. And then we have the plant-based, still called milks, and we have soy, almond, coconut, and those have been fortified to also have the nutrients, vitamin D, calcium. It's been added to them. It doesn't naturally occur in them like what cow's milk does. And then if you are like some people and you have sensitivities when it comes to milk products, whether it be allergies to the protein or the lactose sugars, then you can make other adjustments, because there are other products that are available that you can substitute and have the same quality of calcium that those products may have. So trade-offs, you have calcium-rich dairy foods, and they would be, if you had a cup of milk, that would be a third of your dietary needs for the day. And that you have 1 cup of milk, it could be 1 ounce of cheese. And then the same, on the other hand, for the soy milk, almond milk, because they've all been fortified to be equal. And the only difference, the almond milks, some of the plant-based ones don't have the same level of protein. And so far, they have not been adding that in other forms in bringing up that amount. When you're talking about plant-based, like tofu and collard greens, they are a good source of calcium. Our bodies don't digest the calcium as easily, so you do have to eat more of that to extract enough calcium that would be an equivalent to our dairy products. But there are some. So you need to look at your food label to see exactly what your percentage is and how much you can gain from that, and do your math to, throughout the day, try to get 100% of your calcium. And then if you really have a problem, you might consider, with your doctor's approval, a supplement that would be adequate. So practicing food safety when we're talking about dairy products, most dairy products do need refrigeration. So make sure that when you take your dairy products out, you put them back into the refrigerator within 2 hours. When you're out shopping, make sure that you get home, keep your dairy products and anything that needs to be refrigerated in an insulated bag, so that it does maintain temperature better until you get home and you can stow them in the refrigerator. As well as make sure that before you prepare any of your foods, or eat anything, that you should be washing your hands thoroughly and sanitizing anything that may have come in contact with other foods that were not properly stored. Do not eat cheese with mold on it. It's a little more complicated than you think, but hard cheeses, you can cut off part of it within an inch around. But any of the soft cheeses, discard the product if there's any mold in it, with sour cream, cream cheese, brie, or any of the other spreadable cheeses. Do not drink unpasteurized milk. The pasteurization process is used to destroy bacteria and viruses that may be in milk that has been pasteurized from the farm. So make sure that you're looking for the words pasteurized on the box container, or even cheese should come from pasteurized milk. It is safer, and you're not compromising illness because of the lack of pasteurization. So making food purchases and saving money. Milk, like any other product, you have national brands, and then you have store and value price brands. And you needed to look at where they're coming from, because in the case of dairy products and plant-based, it's more along the lines of the advertising that the national brands have to pay for. It's not that there is a different quality in the animals that are making these products. It's a matter of the manufacturing process and the advertising that goes into producing the foods that are animal-based. So it's an easy comparison. Use your techniques that you've learned from the unit pricing and seeing which price is better for you. Sometimes there are coupons available, not so much in the dairy area, because there's very little fluctuation. There are a lot of different sizes in milk products, whether it's a gallon of milk, a half a gallon, pint, quart. And so you need to look at what size would work best for you. The larger sizes by ounce tend to be less expensive, but it's not less expensive if you're going to waste a large amount of it. So it may be If you want to save money and add more dairy to your diet, you may want to look for recipes and ways that you can add more dairy and be able to use those larger quantities. So spend some time looking online or in cookbooks and getting some idea hacks that may work to increase your dairy. Another savings is the fact that especially if you're a parent and you have infant, that breast milk is free. So providing and using breast milk instead of buying milk or formula, that you're in fact saving a whole lot of money, because it's just the ways that you may have to provide it later on with bottles after they've been expressed. If you are going to use formula, then make sure that you do comparison prices, because there's a lot of different formulas on the market. And there may be more affordable ones that you qualify for. Infants under the age of 1 should not have any dairy products other than human breast milk or formula. They should not be weaned into dairy milk until at least 12 months old. Between the ages of 1 and 2, all children should have whole milk, and the whole milk is because the fat is necessary for their brain development. And then after the age, when they reach 2, then reduced fat, low fat, or fat-free is perfectly adequate, and that's all the way up into adulthood and with the elderly. So from time they turn 2, and then the rest of us, all people, can have dairy products. And that's the recommendation for getting the most calcium out of those products. Techniques to make sure that you're getting dairy into the kids' diets is to make sure serve milk with the meals and water with the snacks. What you do have to be careful of is giving them milk all the time, and then the kids are not eating the variety of other foods that they need for other parts of their health care and diet. The best idea of all is be a good role model, and you also drink your milk during your meals.